Hello! Um, this is actually the second time I've done this video because I never published the last one. I did it and then kind of never really liked what came out. So I'm doing this again. Hopefully this will be more interesting. Not that you guys ever saw that one anyway, but this is this is the only drum of this type I have ever personally seen. And if you haven't guessed it already from the rather telltale hardware, this is a Lang Gladstone. That kind of gives it away. Well, actually, two things give it away: the strainer and the big key on the side. There you go. Now, I probably have had this for 8 or 9 years, I think. I got it from Steve Maxwell, as I have done an awful lot of drums over the years. It was up on his website. Now, I think this may be the second or third of these particular drums that I saw on his website. I think the first one I saw was, or certainly one of them that I saw, was actually a Craviotto shelled timeless timber. And I again, like a lot of the things, it was quite a lot of money. I ummed about it, and then obviously once it had gone, really wished that I'd bought it. The odd thing was that last year, I think it was that very drum came back up on eBay, and again, I just didn't have the cash at the time. I think it was $2,500 or something like that. Yeah, it was just one of those things. But this drum, as I said, I've had for 7 or 8 years, probably actually possibly a little bit longer. It's a 14x6.5. It is in the funkiest colour. I don't think it might not show up quite so well on the video with the lighting going on, but this is I suppose you maybe a turquoise, a very pure sort of turquoise colour. It's a lovely colour. That was part of what drew me to it. It was actually made for a guy called Brett Chasson. The badge here says "To our friend Brett Chasson." Now, I didn't know at the time. In fact, I didn't know also that I've managed to, as I've just found out there, split the snare side head. So I will be changing that at some point, which will be fun, which I'll come to. But Brett Chasson, I didn't know at the time, but he certainly was, probably still is, a session drummer in LA. Arnie Lang, who's the guy who made this drum, was a student of Billy Gladstone. And if you've never heard of Billy Gladstone, well, that's what Google's for. But anyway, he designed a 3-way tuning system. He also came up with a 2-way tuning system, which was on some earlier Gretsch drums, and then he went into production of his own drums. Now, I've never seen a definitive figure, between 50 or 60 snare drums, and I think maybe 1 or 2, maybe the figure of 5 comes into my head, but anyway, he made a couple of kits as well. But he came up with this 3-way tuning system, which allows you to tune either the top head, the bottom head, or both heads, all from the top. So basically, you have this drum key, which hopefully you'll be able to see, has got 3 different ends on. And depending on which head you want to tune or what you want to do with it, you put it on. And again, I don't know if you can catch that from that, but the system on here, you put it on, and it will connect, and then you tune, one or the other or both or whatever from there. So. More recently, Tama did a version of this called Omnitune, which was just a direct rip-off of the Gladstone thing, but You know, no one said anything at the time. Another thing that was sort of fairly unique to Gladstone drums was well, this is you've got the Gladstone style strainer, which you get on a lot of drums in different sort of varying degrees, but it's basically where it falls away from the shell. And you've also got the muffling system, which is from 1 to 10. Depending on how you want to muffle it, you basically can just manoeuvre the knob there. So that's now really quite tight up against the head. And you can see it in there. If I hold this, maybe you'll be able to see the moving. The muffler's moving there, and that's actually going to loose and not on to right up against the head. So that's fairly unique as well. The butt plate's fairly standard, and the air hole there's it's got a single hole and it's got 6 holes around the edge as well. Other than that, it's a maple shell. I don't know who actually made the maple shell. Maybe it's like Warncraft or something like that. But it's also got the name, Brett Chaston's name on the badge in there. Again, I don't know if you'll be able to catch that. Don't know if you can see that from there. There's also something else in there which I can't remember what it says. Oh, it's Payne Percussion. There you go. Payne Percussion, Indianapolis, Indiana. So that looks to be who made the shell. Although, as I said, he has actually done some stuff with Creviotto. It's got the wires actually are DW. The DW branded Pure Sounds, made exclusively for drum workshopping, made in USA by Pure Sound. So they look like Pure Sound wires, but are the colour of DW wires. So. And as I said earlier, I've just noticed that I've split the bottom head there, right on the bearing edge. So typical. To look at actually, the shell's very reminiscent of a Creviotto. It's quite a sharp edge. The snare bed's about sort of there to there. But yeah, the actual shell looks very reminiscent of a Creviotto. When I got this, I bought it with the description that it said lightly used, which people's versions of interpretations of things are different. I have played this drum. This wasn't the original head. I think it had an Evans head on it. I changed that out, but it looked pretty much. And again, I don't know if you can see that properly because of the light on it, but. It was about as lightly used as this head is, and I thought I'd change it. I thought, I'll put a new head on there. It can't be that hard. And I think it took me 20 minutes at least to change the top head, because inside, well, these look like tube lugs. As you might expect, there is something inside these tube lugs which connect that end to that end. If you can catch that there, it's not a standard sort of square end head that you would get on a normal snare drum. So basically there's a rod in there, and there may be a spring as well. I can't quite remember, but it seems I'm going to find out fairly soon, doesn't it? But there's a rod in there that connects the whole lot together, and in taking all of this off, you have to basically lift the whole thing out carefully and then change the head over. It's going to be a bloody nightmare trying to change this bottom head. It's hard enough sometimes taking the snare wires off, so the fact that I've now got to take the bottom head off to change it, I have got a spare head somewhere, but yeah, that's going to be fun. Depending on how I feel at the time, I may actually video me changing the head, but I imagine there probably won't be any sound to that because I'll be swearing a lot. But either way, I think this maybe cost me about $1,100. Rings a bell. Maybe about $1,100. I think that'd be about the right price. As I said, it was second hand. I don't know how Steve got it. Possibly direct from Brett Chasson. But as I said, it's a lovely drum. I've got it sort of tuned relatively crispy, but it's always sat nicely at that tension. So I've always kind of left it there. As I said, it's a lovely sounding drum. It's just a bit of a bugger to. You couldn't take this on the road with you. I couldn't take it on the road with me. I mean, maybe Peter Erskine could, but I couldn't. And I did actually I've got a spare one of these keys knocking around somewhere, which I bought off Bob Henry, who's a mate of mine. I bought that off him. I think it's the Tama version, but I bought it as a spare because these are not so easy to come by as you might imagine. So, but anyway, that's the drum. As I said, I'll do a sound file, let you hear how it sounds, and depending on how painful I want to make things, I may also video myself changing the bottom head. But I imagine there'll be cursing, so if there is, I'll put a disclaimer up beforehand. But anyway, that's this one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, if this is just on YouTube, and here's the next one. Thank you.